Hi. Today I want to talk about supersetting. Actually, not supersetting. I want to talk about staggered setting. Okay? I'm pretty sure that's how you write it. And it helped me achieve this physique and this strength at just 16 years old. So this is pretty cool. This is 35 kilo pull-ups for 3 reps. Before we start, go ahead and join Weightasthenics. This is my free community where we can hop on a one-to-one call. That's the first link in the description. I want to talk about staggered setting. This is like a little bit different to supersetting, and let me just go over it. So, you probably don't superset right now, okay? Superset, because it's not like very optimal, right? And it's pretty difficult to do, right? Because you don't really have much time between the sets, okay? And it's actually pretty tough, right? So this doesn't really make sense for any like compound movement. It doesn't really make sense if you want to do bench and biceps together and like superset. That doesn't really make sense because you're going to be pretty tired from one to the other. Because if we look at this difference, right? If we have like, if we take the example of supersetting, okay? If we start off with push-ups, okay? And then immediately we have some like, let's say biceps. Okay, I'm just going to call it PB, right? Then we have the full rest break of, let's say, 2 minutes. And then we go and do PB again. Okay? This is pretty suboptimal because the biceps are going to be affected by the push-ups, right? And then once again here, right, the push-ups are going to be really good, but then the biceps are going to be affected. And you probably won't even push that hard on the push-ups because you know that you have to go and do biceps immediately after. So, what do we do instead? Okay? We're going to go about this pretty logically, okay? We're just going to do push-ups here, okay? Just to be clear, this is what supersets are, okay? We're going to do push-ups here. We're going to rest half the time, okay? We're going to do biceps here. And then we're going to go ahead and rest the rest of the time, and then go ahead and do the push-ups here. Okay, so it's just going to be like you're doing the sets like staggered, if that makes sense. Wait, let me remove this part so it looks clean. Yeah, so as you can see, we still get in the same amount of exercises, right? But one exercise barely affects the other, okay? And this is super good because you're going to be able to staggered set without sacrificing on your performance, okay? Without sacrificing on performance. And also without sacrificing on your will, right? On your will to actually like do the exercise and how hard you're going to push. Okay, so these two things will basically not be sacrificed or will be sacrificed as little as possible if you're doing staggered sets. Okay? And some rules for staggered sets are that you cannot you cannot staggered set compound plus compound. Okay? Compound plus compound. Because this is still way too fatiguing. Okay? The staggered sets don't just allow you to do this all of a sudden. Yes, this could kind of work out if the two compounds are like really easy, or maybe it's like a deload week or something. Yeah, that could work out. But in general, you cannot do compound plus compound. You can only do compound plus isolation. Okay? Compound plus isolation. Or isolation plus isolation. Okay? Because these are in general pretty easy. But still make sure that you don't superset your main movement, okay? So let's say your main movement for legs is like squats, okay? You don't go ahead and staggered set that with like, I don't know, maybe some like calf raises, even though, yeah, technically in squats you don't use the calves and you can still like put those two together, but still don't do that because it is your main movement and you need your absolute focus on it, okay? That is it, honestly, for staggered sets. These are really effective, and these help me, like, save about, I would say, on average, like, about 20 minutes per workout, okay? Because I use them quite a lot, and I used them in the past quite a lot as well, and you can save about 20 minutes per workout, but you can only do this realistically, right? If you're on a program, right, that actually allows you to do this. Because if you're on a program like, let's say, push-pull legs, okay, it's pretty hard to do this because let's say you start off first exercise like bench, okay? You start off with bench. Yeah, this is your main movement, so you don't staggered set with this, okay? After that, you have, let's say, I'm not sure what people do nowadays. Let's say pec flies, okay? Let's say you have pec flies, and then maybe you have like tricep extension, or maybe you have like pec flies and then like incline dumbbell press, okay? Like you clearly can't superset these two because just because they're, this is an isolation, this is a compound, because they are still like the same muscle. So same muscle, you still can't superset. And so doing something like push-pull legs doesn't really make sense if you want to be saving time. So I would say if you still want to stick to like a bodybuilding type program and just keep it really simple, go ahead and do upper lower, okay? Oh, that looks like a V. So go ahead and do upper lower if you still want to like stick to that and to be able to do staggered sets. If you don't want to do upper lower, another really good one is Arnold split. I really like the Arnold split. Though I don't do bodybuilding anymore, I mostly do weighted calisthenics. And so if you are doing weighted calisthenics like me, you need to choose a different type of split. This is like, I would say the hands down like best S tier split you can do, right? So S tier, you know how they have those like tiers and rankings, whatever. This would be like the S tier plus, okay? What this is like basically you train based on the movements that you're doing. So let's say one day you train push-ups, right? Or let's say you train pull-ups and dips, okay? You train pull-ups and dips. The next day you train squats. Maybe you train squats on their own because they're pretty like fatiguing. This can be squats / legs, okay? Legs. So yeah, essentially you just figure out, right? You have your like days of the week here, whatever. And you figure out that you're training like however many times per week, and you're like, okay, here I want to put dips and pull-ups, right? So you go ahead and put that there. Or you want to go ahead and put like squats here. You go ahead and put a rest day here, whatever. You go ahead, put like, maybe you want to train pull-ups here once again, but then you don't want to train dips. Maybe you want to train bench, right? Sorry for the bad handwriting. So yeah, you just figure out like how your program looks like and put in the days of what you want to train. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but if you want something to do this for you, down in the description, okay, I have my like AI tool that is just like a prompt. You just put it into ChatGPT. You fill out how many days per week you're training, right? So your days per week. You also fill out your like priorities of the movements. And so let's say you really want to prioritize like, because you can have like 2 of each priority. So let's say you put like, if you're training 4 times per week, right? You can have 3 exercises, right? Or 3 movements. Actually, I like to take the example of 5 days per week. So let's say you're training 5 days per week and you choose to use that thing to make the program itself. So if you want to make a program like this, but to make it easier, you want to use that AI thing, go ahead and you go to the description. If you're training 5 days per week, choose 4 movements, okay? You can choose up to 4 movements. And so how it's going to set this up is it's essentially going to do the same thing as you did here, okay? And what did I want to say here? I got ahead of myself. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to make this program for you. And you can definitely tweak around the days or whatever. It's going to give you like, let's say it's going to give you like primary workouts, right? So it's going to be like primary dips, tertiary pull-ups, for example, will be on like a Tuesday, okay? Why this matters, right? The primary and tertiary and everything. Essentially for your primary workout, okay? For your primary workout, you're going to have like 4 exercises, okay? 4 exercises. And each of those exercises, I don't want to get too much into detail, should benefit that like main movement. So let's say if we're training dips, right? If we're taking that example of dips, each exercise should benefit. So we should have like top sets, right? Our top sets should obviously be dips, okay? Because nothing will do better than that. After that, we work on like some weakness of dips. This is like pretty normal for like strength and like for working on like a movement itself. So you work on the weakness. Let's say you're bad at the top part. You add a resistance band over your head, over your like shoulders here, whatever. You add like, you put the resistance band like to the dip bars, if that makes sense. And you do dips and the resistance band will make the top part harder. Or maybe you're weak at the bottom part, so you do some bottom pause dips, okay? And so you just go ahead and you do that weakness. Maybe you do like some other compound, right? So that you're still pretty balanced, like you do some maybe incline dumbbell press so that you don't do all lower chest. And at the end, you do some like isolation. This could, let's say, be for your triceps if the top part of the dip is hard, or for your chest if the bottom part is hard. That's how I would like structure a training if you really want to be like supersetting, because you'll be able to do stuff like, let's say here, you'll be able to put the compound of dips with like the compound of pull-ups, right? If they're both pretty easy, or you'll be able to put like the compound of dips, you'll be able to put the compound of dips, right, with the isolation of pull-ups, okay? So that's how I would go about making a program itself, right? You can go ahead, use the prompt in the description if you want to do that. But if you want to just keep it simple, once again, you can go ahead and use like upper, lower, or Arnold split. Both of these are really good. You can also like make your own split if you like doing that kind of thing, or just put into the days like, okay, today I'm training pull-ups and dips, today I'm training squats, today is a rest, today is that, and make sure, you know, for your movements that you want to have more focus on, you train them more often, okay? That's how I would go about staggered setting, okay? Staggered setting is honestly really OP, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, because saving, bro, 20 minutes per workout is honestly not a joke, because if you save those like 20 minutes per workout, let's say you're working out like 4 times per week, right? That's 80 minutes. You could put that into like cardio if you're skipping cardio, right? You could put that into cardio. You could also put that into like another workout, okay? You could put that into a workout where you hit like, let's say, pull-ups once again, right? If you really want to progress on pull-ups, you could go from doing pull-ups 3 times per week, right? You could go from doing pull-ups 3 times per week to doing them 4 times per week. That'll get you honestly a really significant amount of progress. So doing something like this is actually really beneficial, and you'll be able to do this while still maintaining the quality and the intensity of your sets. That's it for today, bro. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some value from this. So I want to give you even more value. Yeah. So go ahead and join Weightasthenics. This is my free group with 108 like-minded people like us going for their calisthenics goal. Obviously, it's free. You can hop on a one-to-one call with me where I can help you out with your program, with your diet, you know, with all that good stuff, which you're probably struggling with right now because they're not really structured. That's what I found, at least, from, you know, helping out a ton of people in the past. Here you can see some people I've helped. And yeah, that's it, bro. Thank you for watching. See you, bro. Keep overloading. Let's get it.